Hello all, it's James Johnson, aka Sulphur Blade, and I'm back here with yet another video. In this one, we're gonna... Well, this is kind of a two-part video. One part is I want everyone to remember that the world we live in is one where a very dominant left-wing reverse racism rhetoric is being shoved down normal Americans' throats and is costing them their jobs. But normal adult Americans understand the situation they're in to an extent. So if you work at, for example, Goodyear, where they're telling you you can wear LGBTQ pins and Black Lives Matter pins, but you cannot wear MAGA stuff, you cannot wear All Lives Matter pins, you can't wear Blue Lives Matter pins. So Goodyear's clearly taking a political stance. It's the crazy left-wing side that seems to be dominating the world right now. And as an adult that works for, say, Goodyear, you can choose to follow their rules and keep your job, or if you're you can weigh the pros and cons of what revolting against the narrative would cost you, and you can make an educated choice whether or not your job is worth putting up with the bullshit, and you can speak out against it and find yourself a new job. As adults, we have the ability to factor these things and make educated assumptions, or make an educated decision. So let's go ahead and Goodyear claimed that it was not... Where is it here? Yesterday, Goodyear became the focus of conversation that created some misconceptions about our policies and our company. For those not aware, a wide circulated image sparked a strong reaction, and we wanted to take the opportunity to provide some important context to the visual and our policies. First, the visual in question was not created or distributed by Goodyear Corporate, nor was it part of diversity training class. To be clear, our long-standing corporate policy, Goodyear has zero tolerance for any form of harassment or discrimination. To enable a work environment free of those, we ask that associates refrain from workplace expression in support of political campaigning for any candidate or political party, as well as similar forms of advocacy that fall outside the scope of racial justice and equity issues. Second, we appreciate the diverse viewpoints of all of our more than 60,000 associates, which are at the heart of many of the policies we establish, yada yada, etc., etc. I'm not going to read it all, but basically they issued an apology for this picture where it says here, zero tolerance for Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, MAGA attire, political affiliated slogans and materials, and it's acceptable to wear Black Lives Matter or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender pride pins. I don't know how accurate this timestamp is, but let's say it's accurate for now. So August 18th. Then this message comes out August 19th, the next day, saying, hey, we're sorry, we don't condone that. And then here we have this August 20th soundbite that was captured and put on the internet.
Shirts or wristbands, that will be deemed approved because it complies with zero tolerance stance. However, if any associate wears all White Lives Matter shirts or face coverings, that will be not appropriate.
The unidentified speaker says the rules were created to make a better work environment.
There's rules now around what you can wear. Let's try to comply with these so that way, everybody feels good in this factory. I want to make sure, guys, think about what we do in this factory, right? We all work together to make tires. That's what we do. That's what we get paid to do. So let's continue to do that and do the right thing. Keep this place what it's always been, a good place to work. Keep pride.
Yeah, a good place to work where your only political opinion you're accepted to have is the far crazy left. But, Goodyear's not the only people spouting this BS. Cisco System did this, a couple months ago now. Cisco System fired a number of workers over racial comments made during a virtual all-hands conference on race and diversity last month. As of, July 17th that this is being posted. Precisely how many employees were dismissed or when they were let go is unclear. Bloomberg reports that San Jose-based Cisco confirmed it fired a handful of employees. Bloomberg said it will not name those employees because it could not confirm their identities, according to the screenshots obtained by Bloomberg. The posts made by the fired employees include Black Lives Don't Matter, All Lives Matter, which is true. All lives matter. You can't... How do I put this? Green lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Blue lives don't matter. Orange lives don't matter. Red lives don't matter. All lives matter. The only real slogan that works is All Lives Matter because it doesn't elevate any color over another. So the only acceptable slogan that you can have in a world that is this divisive is All Lives Matter, because you need to clearly spell out to the idiots that blacks are not above whites, the same as whites are not above blacks. All lives are equal. Women and men. Women are not above men. Black women are not above white women. And this weird cult-like world we live in, where if you're black, you're better than white, and if you're a woman, you're better than a man, and if you're a black woman, you're better than a white woman. This weird hierarchy of formerly oppressed peoples who are now more important than everyone else and therefore are higher on the pecking order of oppression. Therefore, we must completely reverse course and elevate these people above everyone else is just stupidity. Utter, pure, complete stupidity. The only narrative that works is that every single motherfucking person in society is equal. White, black, orange, yellow, blue, purple, pink. Doesn't matter. And someone who had common sense enough to understand that was fired over it at Cisco Systems. I actually did a story on this. You can look it back up, where I went into a lot further detail on this topic and even showed some information about specifically what they were teaching in their training. It was pretty funny, the stuff that they were trying to shove down people's throats. Anyway, I wanted to basically show that adults in the workplace are being force-fed this left-wing narrative. But that's not the worst part of what's going on right now. Because adults in the workplace can make a choice. They can make an educated choice about whether or not their job is more important than defying the craziness of the message that their workplace is spouting, right? An adult can make a choice, can think for himself. But kids are young and they are impressionable. Very impressionable. If you tell a kid this type of crap that Black Lives Matter, right? And that black man is better than a white white man, and a woman's better than a man, and a black woman is better than a white woman. If you teach that type of bizarre reverse racism that the left is feeding on right now, then kids will eat that up. They're like sponges. They absorb information, and they're really smart at understanding what it is you're trying to say. So if you're trying to say something that's racist, which is what most of all this crap is just reverse racism, they are going to pick it up and they're going to become reverse racists. We're going to be educating an entire, and if you think I'm being a conspiracy theorist, well, let's look. Incoming president of America's largest teachers union on reopening schools. This is the sticking point for reopening schools, according to the president of the largest teachers union in America. Let's listen to this.
The country. I want to just put up on the screen, this is part of the NEA's guidance on reopening school buildings. And it says this: ensure that school building reopening plans are inclusive and equitable for all educators and students by humanizing learning environments and designing spaces that are situated in the experiences of communities of color, not just through white, cis, hetero, and able-bodied lenses. What does that mean, and what does that have to do with making sure that the kids and teachers don't give each other COVID-19?
So I'm glad to be with you this.
What does that mean? Anyone know what that means? I'll tell you what it means. It means that we need to educate our young Americans in understanding how oppressed the black people were, and we need to get on our knees and apologize to them every day. We need to bow down before our new black overlords. That's essentially what it means. No. We're all equal. There are no overlords. No race, no ethnic creed, no color is better or worse than another. That is the simple truth that everyone should be able to agree with. It's not controversial. It's not supposed to be controversial. The left claims that's what they want, right? They claim they're all for exactly what I just said, but they're not. Because they're more for pushing the individual narratives like Black Lives Matter. Like, they want this division. If they really wanted to bring people together, they would have set the Black Lives Matter motto aside, and they would have embraced the All Lives Matter. And we would have had a happy kumbaya moment in the country where Republicans and Democrats all huddled around a campfire singing kumbaya and praising how all lives matter. But that's not what they did. They said all lives matter is racist and stuck to the Black Lives Matter narrative. As Black Lives Matter and Antifa is running around our nation, burning places down, causing violence, injuring people, even killing people. There's been, 30 different people that have died in the riots caused by these people? And that's not even pointing out the people who have been beaten to within an inch of their lives with skateboards and every other bizarre... it's sickening. Anyway, so here we are, the incoming president of America's largest teachers union. Well, let's actually listen to what she says in response. She's going to tap dance around the issue. She's not going to answer it. She's going to be a politician.
This evening, let me begin by saying that as an educator with over 30 years of experience, I taught 8th grade science. I know, because I've talked to teachers every single day, that they want to be with their students. They want to be in schools with their students. They know that that interaction between them and their students and their colleagues is absolutely essential to the learning of our students.
Of course, Martha says, because this is not controversial. This is exactly right. But this is not the question she asked. This is not the question she asked, right?
But we know that if our students are not safe, if we are costing lives by opening school buildings because we will not take the basic precautions to keep them safe, then we
But these are not basic precautions that are in your own organization's guidelines. Talk about, not just through a white, cis, hetero, able-bodied lens and designing spaces that are situated in the experiences. What does any of what I just read have to do with what you just said? And this is.
She's probably sitting there thinking to herself, I honestly don't understand what any of that means either, but I'm part of this crazy narrative, and I have to just figure out a way to not answer this question. Maybe. That might be what she's thinking. Because who knows who wrote that bizarre crap. Maybe this is the first time she's hearing about it, or maybe she was very much a part of writing that bizarre crap, but she's not going to answer the question.
This is one of the guidelines and demands of the NEA.
We have said from the beginning that we need to focus our resources and plans on opening our schools safely and equitably. That means that we want to make sure that we finally do something about the disparities in access and opportunities and resources for our students of color, those who are differently abled, those who have been marginalized by this society. We need to make sure.
I understand those goals. I understand those goals in Springfield, but a lot of people are going to look at a situation.
So again, she manages to walk a tightrope of answering something that is fairly uncontroversial. Marginalized people of color needing better schooling is fairly agreed upon throughout society. But that, again, doesn't answer what the hell did the original statement mean. There's a difference between providing better education to marginalized people that don't have as good of education through various different means, and what that statement meant. That statement is a prelude to we're going to be teaching propaganda to your children, and she is not going to even touch that with a 10-foot pole. She's not going to admit that we want to start propagandizing your kids and force-feeding them a political narrative about how everyone was oppressed and how things are not equal in this country. And they are equal in this country. That is a false narrative that is spread by the left right now, that there is a systematic racial problem. If you teach our kids there's a systematic racial problem, they're going to believe there's a systematic racial problem, and you're only reinforcing the far left crazy narrative that there's a systematic racial problem when there's not. The only problem is the far left wants to use racial division to win elections. Okay, let's head over to the next one. U.S. schools revamp curricula in response to Black Lives Matter, says the New York Times and Reuters. John Marshall keeps a picture of Breonna Taylor in his office at the headquarters of Kentucky's largest school district. A visual reminder, he says, of the need for curriculum changes that better honor and focus on Black stories. Taylor, we know about this. We know about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. It's terrible, but it is what it is. If you really want to do something about it, convince your congressmen and your senators to actually pass some goddamn legislation. Alright, some of the changes do not involve new material, but rather teaching the same material from a new perspective. A new perspective. What exactly does that mean? In the Jefferson County School, for instance, teachers discussing the space race of the 1960s plan now to focus on the Black woman mathematicians whose computations underpin modern rocket science. Alright, well, that's wonderful. Sure, teach that. But don't teach that at the expense of Buzz Aldrin, which is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to basically tell you about the great Black women and what their accomplishments were for the space program, and then at the exact same time, they will take the accomplishments of white men out of the picture and not tell you about, the first pioneering astronauts. They're just going to spin the narrative. They're going to teach our young kids propaganda. And it's Black Lives Matter propaganda at that. So there's a problem right now. People are not being, parents are not being allowed to take part in their kids' online education. They've been instructed to stay the flock out of their kids' online education because it's sensitive and between the teacher and the student only. I kid you not. This is actually happening. Parents are being told they cannot look at what their kids are learning. And why is that? Because they're teaching our kids propaganda. So for the love of God, make sure you're paying attention to what the teachers are teaching your kids in these online classes right now, because it's more than likely diversity training from Goodyear and diversity training from Cisco Systems that a kid does not have. I mean, I love kids. Don't get me wrong, and they're certainly highly intelligent, but they are easily impressionable. They're easily tricked. They're easily manipulated. And they are easy to soak up ideas and concepts. They are perfect people for propaganda. And that's exactly what's happening. It's not already bad enough that the left has been propagandizing generations via the universities in our country. It's part of the reason we're having all the problems we're having right now is because we have so many young Americans that hate America and are acting out right now trying to tear down the system because they believe in socialist propaganda they've been taught in the universities. Now, we're going to hand the teachers the keys to be able to do that to our kids before they even get into university. We're going to teach our kids to become communist bastards And I'm saying that for the complete shock value because that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to teach our kids to be communist bastards before they even get to university. So please, for the love of God, pay attention to what your kids are learning right now. And if you smell any propaganda, you pull your kid out of that class. If they want to have a classroom where the parent is not there interjecting themselves into their child's learning, then they can teach them in fucking person. But if they want to have this online propaganda courses, well, by God, you better be making damn sure your kids are not being spoon-fed a bunch of Marxist crap. And I can guarantee you the Black Lives Matter propaganda that they're gonna be getting fed is gonna be as thick as thieves. It's gonna be like trying to drink maple syrup. And that's not what our kids need. Our kids need to learn math, reading and writing in English, sentence structure, where to use an apostrophe, how to use a period, what's the difference between a verb and an adjective, science, the periodic table of elements. You know, let's stick to the basics, not trying to propagandize and socially manipulate our children because some idiot in a big wig position decided that we need better curriculum to better brainwash our kids because Black Lives Matter. And I know it might sound like I'm being very hyperbolic, but we are in the middle of a damn civil war right now. And I know that sounds hyperbolic in and of itself. Yes, it's not a civil war where people are actually well, some people are killing each other, but it's not like your normal civil war where you have troops on a battlefield. No, it's a civil war of ideas. And it is being fought. It's being fought in Congress. It's being fought in the Senate. It's being fought in the battleground, the election, the battleground states. It's being fought in the streets of our biggest cities with Antifa and Black Lives Matter burning places down. We are in a civil war, folks. And we can't just sit around being the normal, sane, easygoing. The craziness will pass over. It's just a fad. Easygoing Republicans or middle of the road moderate Democrats that we normally are, because the left isn't going to let it happen. The left is going to do everything they possibly can to utilize all of this division, all of this insanity that they have created to push as much of their Marxist narrative down everyone's throat that they can, including our kids. Because the more people, the more ears they can reach. They might not win this civil war today, but 5, 10, 15 years ago when it brews up again, and there's even a larger population of the crazy left because they managed to get in the ear of our children through this stupid propaganda crap that they're trying to do right now via online courses? We need to shut it down. The U.S. is a capitalist republic. It's the greatest country on earth. It's not a socialist hellhole, no matter how many people want it to be. Stop it from happening. Anyway, I'm James Johnson. I'm letting you know your kids are in danger of being manipulated by our public school system via online courses, and you need to pay attention and make sure it doesn't happen. Anyway, until next time all, please smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you again the next time. Peace.